Gregor Gillespie versus Brad Riddell takes place this weekend in the co-main event of UFC Fight Night Vegas 22, Brunson versus Holland, and I can't wait for this lightweight matchup. You've got Gregor Gillespie looking to bounce back after his loss to Kevin Lee. He's ranked number 15 right now in the lightweight division, and if he wins, I think he'll keep a hold of that number 15 ranking spot and maybe even move above the Ally Quintas of the division, because he's been quite inactive recently, so there's a lot up for grabs. There's a lot to lose for Gregor Gillespie as he tries to bounce back against newcomer to the division, Brad Riddell, who right now is on a 3-fight winning streak in the UFC, 3-0, undefeated against good competition opponents as well. I mean, he has not had a babied career that he potentially could have. I mean, he's a CKB member. Maybe they would have tried to baby him and give him favorable matchups, but he got Magomed Mustafayev, second fight in his career. That is a really tough outing, and he managed to get the job done even whilst facing some adversity in that bout by split decision, just by doing the more damage. It was around the time when the new scoring system came in and Magomed Mustafayev was controlling him on the ground but not doing any damage, so I feel like there was some confusion with the judging and even with the perception of that fight, because at the time everyone was still really valuing someone controlling someone against a cage or on the ground, but Brad Riddell did more damage in that bout, and that's how he secured himself the win against Magomed Mustafayev. Also got the job done against Alex Da Silva, and again faced some adversity in the early rounds, got taken down quite badly, controlled in the first round, almost got guillotined at the end, but came through, won in the second and third, and rallied back like he does in the majority of his bouts. I mean, Brad Riddell's cardio is really good, and that's something that we're going to have to pay attention to here coming into this bout with Gregor Gillespie, but I just don't see him beating Gregor Gillespie right now, because Gregor Gillespie, before his loss to Kevin Lee, Vince Pichel is nobody's fool. He's on a 2-fight winning streak right now in the UFC, beat Roosevelt Roberts by grounding him out in the fight, beat Jim Miller by grounding him out in the fight as well, and beating him up and out-grinding him in a grappling session, and Jim Miller is no punk right now in the lightweight division. He's still got it. So Vince Pichel, really good grappler, got completely dominated by Gregor Gillespie in the lightweight division. Yancy Medeiros, capable fighter, got completely dominated start to finish by Gregor Gillespie every single second of that fight. Same story with every single other one of his opponents so far. I don't see how Gregor Gillespie doesn't just go out there and ragdoll Brad Riddell against a cage and eventually get himself an opening where he can find himself a submission. My early prediction of this fight when I did my full card breakdown was that Gregor Gillespie was going to win by decision. I actually think he's going to get the job done by submission here. I think a lot of people are going to put a lot of weight behind his Kevin Lee loss and not realise that Kevin Lee is a great grappler in the lightweight division. And I think the only reason Gregor Gillespie stayed on the feet for so long with Kevin Lee was because he thought, you know what? He's a good grappler. He's a really strong guy in the early rounds. I'm going to try and wear him down on the feet. I mean, before that fight where he head kick KO'd Gregor Gillespie, Kevin Lee was hardly seen as this big knockout artist on the feet. So maybe Gregor Gillespie thought, you know what I'm going to do? I've got some KOs in the UFC. I got a big KO over Jordan Rinaldi earlier in my career and Andrew Holbrook as well early on, 21 seconds into the bout. I like my chances on the feet with Kevin Lee. I'm going to try some things out, and then eventually I'm going to start working in my takedowns and get Kevin Lee into the ground later in the fight where he usually slows down. I feel like that's the only reason why he stood for so long with Kevin Lee in that first round. Other than that, in every single one of his bouts, Yancy Medeiros, under 30 seconds, he's shot for a takedown, he's got it, and he's controlling Yancy Medeiros for the rest of the round. Against Vince Pichel as well, under a minute, he shots for the takedown, gets it, gets Vince Pichel to the ground, and controls him for the rest of the round. Eventually, Vince Pichel can't take anymore and gets submitted in the second round. Same with Yancy Medeiros, gets TKO'd at the end of the second round because he just can't keep defending the merciless onslaught of Gregor Gillespie. And I'm sorry, CKB fans, I'm going to go with Gregor Gillespie by submission in the second round. And I'll say he does it by arm triangle. That's his go-to move so far in his career. Really muscle-based wrestling move. It's not really one that you need to take a lot of time to set up in your career. You don't need to really work on your triangle game for years before eventually putting it into practice in the octagon. I mean, the arm triangle, if you're stronger in someone and you can manipulate them on the ground, you can really get them into an arm triangle quite easily compared to some other submissions. So I really believe that Gregor Gillespie is going to get the submission in the second round by arm triangle. I've just seen people, Gregor Gillespie, Brad Riddell, that aren't Gregor Gillespie. And that's a really big red flag here. And maybe if Gregor Gillespie, or maybe if Brad Riddell was one of these guys who just had really terrifying KO power in the first round, and believe me, he does. He can knock people down, he can hurt people, but it's not like he's shutting everyone's lights out. I mean, Jamie Mullarkey is a tough guy, don't get me wrong, but he took all of Brad Riddell's shots for the entirety of that bout, and Brad Riddell was smacking him around in that fight, and still Jamie Mullarkey was able to survive until the final bell. Barely, by the way, because it arguably could have been stopped a couple couple of times in that bout towards the end, but Magomed Mustafayev took the shot of Brad Riddell, came back, still worked his grappling game, and was able to control Brad Riddell for the majority of that bout. Then you go to Alex da Silva, just sort of took down Brad Riddell in the first round pretty easily, controlled him on the ground for the entirety of the first round. Eventually, Brad Riddell started defending a little bit better as the fight went on, but Alex da Silva took that bout on short notice. Maybe if he doesn't take it on short notice and has a full camp, he can put that pace on Brad Riddell for a little bit longer and who knows, secure himself the second round and just survive the third and win 29-28. I think there's enough evidence to suggest that Gregor Gillespie is going to go out there and just take down Brad Riddell at will as soon as the fight starts and control him on the ground and eventually muscle him into a submission at the end of the second round. And I think that Gregor Gillespie is also going to be urgent for the submission. If you're wondering why I'm so confident that I think he's going to submit him, is because Brad Riddell has really good late rounds cardio. In round 3, he really puts it on people in his bouts. I mean, even against Magomed Mustafayev, he's getting controlled in round 3, but turns it around at the end to land a couple of ground and pound shots before the fight's over. He's really got good cardio. He's always pushing in the later rounds of his bouts. I think Gregor Gillespie is going to seek to take advantage of him early and not even risk getting to the third round where maybe he's going to be tired of grappling Brad Riddell, because Gregor Gillespie sets such a pace that he does need a lot of control time to get a breather in the middle of it. Otherwise, you just can't shoot that many takedowns over and over and over again. It's a lot of work to do. But then again, he doesn't really slow down either. So that the only chance I see Brad Riddell winning, really, if he can't make a big comeback in the third round, which I don't even see it getting to, is landing like a big uppercut KO shot in the first round. There's some argument for that. You can actually make that prediction. I'm not going to call you dumb. Like, Gregor Gillespie's been out for a very long time. Got KO'd in his last fight by Kevin Lee. Going to be a little bit rusty once he gets inside the octagon. He's coming off a KO loss. That's going to be in his mind. Maybe he doesn't want to shoot and he's a little bit hesitant and goes out there and gets uppercut KO'd whenever he does shoot because he's too obvious or something like this. I just don't see it happening. I've seen Brad Riddell ragdolled too many times by people who I believe would get completely ragdolled by Gregor Gillespie in the lightweight division, and I don't think he's going to be able to do it against Gregor Gillespie. I think he's going to get submitted in the second round. Really looking forward to this bout, but you know, I'm sorry, CKB fans. I think it's going to be a real bad night for your boy. I like Brad Riddell. I hope he gets the job done. I'm sure the UFC are really hoping that Brad Riddell gets the job done here. He's 29 years of age. He's active. He's marketable. He's from the same gym as Israel Adesanya, so he's going to get some of that trickle-down fame anyway. You've got Gregor Gillespie, 34 years of age, spends more time fishing than he does fighting, fights once a year maybe, and if that, maybe he'll come back 2 years after this for another bout just to fund himself with more worms for bait or something like that. I have no idea what he does with his life, but it's very clear that he doesn't have a real raging desire to be the world champion, and that's not really what you want in a promotion. So I'm sure the UFC want Brad Riddell to get this one done. I know why they're rushing him, because he is 29 years of age. If they're going to get him to the top, they want to get him to the top while he's still close to his prime. They don't want him to get to the top when he's 32 and then maybe get to a title shot when he's 34. So they're rushing him right now. I think it's going to backfire, and Gregor Gillespie is going to get the job done by submission in the second round. That or Brad Riddell is just a massive star overnight. Co-main event of a fight night, gets a big KO in the first round over Gregor Gillespie, a huge name, and now establishes himself in the lightweight division. I think the number 15 ranking spot is up for grabs here, because Gregor Gillespie right now is ranked number 15. I feel like the winner of this one's going to secure that position. Maybe Gregor Gillespie's going to move above Ali Quinta because of inactivity to number 14 if he wins. But if Brad Riddell wins, I imagine he's probably going to get ranked number 15 here. And the winner of this one, I don't think you're going to get a jump up those rankings, because right now at lightweight, we have a bunch of people that are really going to take priority in being jumped up those rankings. Like if Kevin Lee bounces off a good win, they're going to look to jump him up the rankings. He's a bigger name than Brad Riddell. Also, in the case of Dagestani Islam Makhachev. In the case of Islam Makhachev, he's coming off some big wins. They're looking to jump him up the rankings right now. I doubt they're going to do Dan Hooker versus Brad Riddell if he wins, because they're sort of in the same gym, and I doubt they'd want to fight each other. They seem like good friends. I just don't see Brad Riddell really getting a jump up if he wins. Neither do I see Gregor Gillespie getting the same thing. So I think the winner of this one could be taking on the winner of like a fight such as Thiago Moises versus Arman Tsarukyan, Thiago Moises versus Rafael Fiziev. One of these bouts are going to get made, and the winner of that one will take on the winner of this bout this weekend whenever they decide to come back. Looking forward to it though. Gregor Gillespie versus Brad Riddell. Really great fight, and the loser of this one is going to be in a real different position, but still not that bad. Alexander Hernandez sitting at number 17 right now on Ranking MMA, outside the rankings. Still pretty high up in the rankings, coming off a loss to Thiago Moises. That was a very close fight, but Thiago Moises got the job done in my opinion. Loser of this fight just fights Alexander Hernandez. I think that's pretty easy, and it's also a big matchup that can still be on the main card of a fight night any time. But the lightweight division is getting really good right now. We've got a bunch of contenders to sort out. Arman Tsarukyan, you've got Thiago Moises, Rafael Fiziev, you've got a bunch of other guys coming up soon, like Guram Kutsteledzian and Mateusz Gamrot's looking to bounce back against Scott Holtzman. Nasrat Haqparast had a great performance not too long ago. You've got Ottoman Azaitar, who despite smuggling in a bag of potatoes, that are obviously roids, is still able to go out there and fight, so he's going to have some momentum right now. Undefeated guy. There are so many fun matchups right now in that lightweight division, and Brad Riddell's looking to lead the charge here for the guys coming up against the older men at the top. I don't think he's going to win it, boys. Don't see it happening. I think he's going to take a beating here pretty badly. I've seen him give up too many bad positions against guys like Alex Da Silva, who was able to control him throughout the first round. I can't watch someone who's worse than this person. This person here done something, and he's worse at doing that thing than this person over here. So this person over here is obviously going to do that thing more impressively than the guy who did it before that's worse at doing that thing than he is. Right? But it's MMA, so there's no fucking guaranteeing any of this shit. Riddell will probably uppercut KO him in the first round out of nowhere, and Gregor Gillespie's done with his career or something like that. But surely I'm correct here. Gregor will go out there and ragdoll him, because the only reason he didn't shoot her early on Kevin Lee is because he sort of respected the grappling early and wanted to test out his stand-up. Other than that, he does just go straight for the takedown immediately in bouts. Like, even against guys that he's KO'd early in the first round, he still got a takedown and beat him up for a bit first. Like against Jordan Rinaldi, he KO'd that guy in the first round by TKO, got the finish there at the end of round 1, KO'd Andrew Holbrook in the first round by KO 20 seconds in. He's got good hands early. He doesn't just go out there and shoot stupidly like Ben Askren straight towards the legs. He will mix it up a bit, throw a couple of feints, chop at the legs, throw a little jab out there. Like, he's not one of these dumb wrestlers that's just going to bolt into something with no setup whatsoever. He always sets up his shots, and I just don't see Brad Riddell catching him. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Goodbye. Gregor Gillespie, arm triangle submission, end of round 2, in the middle of the octagon. Toodle pip.